We're live over one of Toronto's busiest and most relied upon roadways. The Gardiner Expressway set to close within hours.
Tonight, drivers bracing for the traffic turmoil to ramp up this weekend. Good evening. The Gardiner is a vital link across the city for so many.
The closure expected to be a major source of disruption this weekend, and it's not the only one. CTV's Sean Leathong joins us live with the details. Sean.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, many of the people we spoke with today talked about how the Gardiner has become frustrating in the last couple of months. It's become commonplace, but when they found out that it's going to actually be closed this weekend, they said they don't know what they're going to do. Whether it's on the highway, the GO train, or the TTC, closures seem to be everywhere in the city this weekend.
I'm a little bit shocked. I drove here and I'm going to be driving for the whole weekend.
The already slow-moving Gardiner Expressway would be closed from 11 p.m. tonight until 10 a.m. Sunday. The Barrie line on the GO train will be closed Saturday and Sunday, and the Lakeshore West GO line will be reduced to hourly trains. On top of that, there's sporadic subway closures.
I don't even know how I'm going to make that work this weekend. It's going to be very difficult.
You have to work this weekend?
Yeah, I do.
Massimo Crisafi frequently comes downtown from Bolton for work, and he says the congestion is already too much.
I'm having to incorporate, I don't even know how many hours now into my day just to get around.
And for this weekend, completely closed.
Yeah, that's very bad. I don't even know how I'm going to make that work this weekend.
Diana Zaranova came to town from Vaughan this morning. She's here for a conference at the Intercare Center.
I don't know how they're going to get here. There's about 8,000 people that are supposed to come for the event. So I'm not sure. It's going to be very busy.
While Jill Shaver has to leave the city tomorrow for an event.
Yeah, I guess we'll be spending a lot of time in the car this weekend.
The reason for the Gardiner closure is for maintenance, cleaning, and track work. Mayor Olivia Chow saying this morning that this closure would be the equivalent to 30 nightly closures.
It's less disruptive. Rather than 30 days, 30 nights, it's 35 hours. It's one weekend. It costs 25% less, which is good.
Chow saying the weekend is chosen when there aren't any major events like concerts or sports. There are smaller road closures this weekend for events like the RBC Race for Kids closing Yonge Street between Shepherd and Commerce Saturday morning, and the Bentway Dominoes event closing sections of Niagara Street, Wellington, Bathurst, Fort York, Dan Leckie, and a section of Queens Quay for hours on Saturday.
Getting in and out of the city and just around within the city is just very difficult.
So if you're planning a trip in or out, maybe plan for extra time. And I can see behind me that traffic is moving slowly on the Gardiner through the Friday rush. One note that the on-ramp to the York Street on-ramp to the Gardiner Expressway will be closed longer than Sunday. It's going to open just before the Monday commute. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan and Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. And as he mentioned, transit riders will have to navigate a few service changes this weekend. They'll be impacting parts of subway lines 1 and 2, as well as the GO trains Barrie and Lakeshore West lines. You can find a full detailed list at ctvnewstoronto.ca and on the CTV News app.
And still ahead, might bike lanes that take over lanes of traffic be a no-go? The province considers restricting the expansion of the cycle network if it takes away space for cars. The details in moments.
Being stuck in traffic is an all too common source of frustration for drivers.
Called a congestion crisis. Today, the city outlined its plan to try to ease the gridlock. CTV's Natalie Johnson joins us live with all those details. Natalie.
Well, Nathan, the city acknowledges that construction is wreaking havoc on Toronto traffic and has unveiled new plans to better coordinate and control the capital work, along with higher fines for the drivers who contribute to the gridlock by disrespecting the rules of the road.
In a bid to crack down on the city's congestion crisis.
I really feel for the drivers.
If I'm driving, I'm either going early in the morning or late at night.
City Hall is looking to make what it calls systemic changes to the management of Toronto traffic.
We want to speed up the construction and have better coordination of all the constructions, shorten the street closure, improve enforcement against people who disregard the rules.
Among the changes proposed by staff, increasing the fine for stopping during rush hour from $190 to $300, increasing the fines for blocking the box to $450 or $500 in community safety zones, and explore a new congestion management levy for anyone occupying the road, sidewalk, or boulevard for the purposes of construction.
What we're trying to do right now is sort of a pull all levers approach to get them to use it as as infrequently and for as short duration as possible.
The city will also be asking the province for permission to bring in automated cameras to enforce blocking the box, blocking bike lanes, and more, including the possibility of using automated enforcement dash cams on city and transit vehicles.
When it comes to enforcement, automated enforcement is the ultimate sort of strategy piece.
The city has also established a strategic capital coordination office to better align capital projects and minimize conflicts, which officials insist will do a more comprehensive job than previous iterations of the office.
We're also sequencing these projects so that any one portion of roadway only needs to be torn up once.
I think that's positive. But I also saw that there's a lot of reliance on increasing taxes, increasing fees when it comes to road occupancy permits. And, that's sort of telling of the mayor's approach. It's always additional fees and taxes.
Torontonians stuck in traffic say congestion has never been worse.
It's adding hours on people's commutes.
Just avoid it at all costs.
Desperate to see anything that could get this city moving again.
The city also plans to harness the power of AI to better mitigate traffic tie-ups on the road. All of these ideas will be debated at City Hall in the coming weeks, with council asked to approve the plan in October. I'm Natalie Johnson. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Natalie. There's a significant update tonight to a story we first brought you earlier this week. A suspect wanted in a vehicle theft caught on camera in Mississauga is now in custody. And a warning, we are about to show you footage that is disturbing. This video is from September 6th near Winston Churchill and Eglinton. The woman seen here allegedly responded to an Auto Trader advertisement and got behind the wheel of the victim's SUV. At one point, the owner of the Porsche got out and the suspect was seen reversing, running over the man, leaving him with serious injuries. Peel police say 18-year-old Sarah Badshaw of Brampton turned herself in on Thursday after the video led to an influx of tips from the public.
And this just speaks to the power of social media. There's a saying in policing that I'm sure we've all heard before, you can't outrun the radio or you can't outrun the chopper, but in Sarah's case here, you can't outrun the share button.
Badshaw was charged with dangerous operation causing bodily harm, failed to remain, and theft of a motor vehicle, as well as driving without a license. Police say she's also been charged with prior fraud-related offenses and is wanted by other GTA police services in separate cases.
Also tonight, how did an Indigenous-themed school field trip turn into students participating in a pro-Palestinian protest? The questions about TDSB policy coming up.
But first, let's bring you up to speed on the weather situation as we head into another September weekend. What a lovely week it's been, but might we finally be in for some rain? CTV's Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions. Doesn't look too bad this hour.
It's nice right now, and it will stay nice this evening. We are watching a cold front set to bring some showers to parts of southern Ontario as we head into the day tomorrow. But for now, it's just the cloud that we're dealing with. We're looking at temperatures kind of in that mid-20 range, and we're fairly comfortable as we head throughout the evening. Right now, we're sitting at around 22 through Hamilton, 23 in Peterborough, 25 in Niagara, and those humidex values are still there. They're just not as intense. Over towards the islands, it's around 22 through Pearson, 23. A little sunnier downtown, but overall the cloud cover is moving in. Tonight it is mild, tomorrow mild as well, but the messy weather is coming. I'll break it all down later on. Right now, it's back over to Nathan and Michelle.
All right, thank you, Jess. The Toronto District School Board is apologizing after students on a field trip ended up taking part in a protest where pro-Palestinian slogans were shouted.
The board's policy now also under review. CTV's Scott Lightfoot joins us live with the story. Scott.
Michelle, parents say they first raised questions when they discovered what was supposed to be a field trip meant to learn about Indigenous issues was actually a protest. They say they have even more questions now after seeing how students didn't just observe but participated in the rally, which included pro-Palestinian chants. It was a protest meant to draw attention to the plight of the Grassy Narrows First Nations community. Thousands marched through the streets of Toronto on Wednesday, among them some students from the Toronto District School Board taking part in what was a board-approved field trip.
I think when the families first heard about this field trip, it felt deceptive to them because the writing about this field trip did not mention a rally. It said, we're going to this park to learn about Indigenous issues.
This parent, who did not have any children involved, says parents of those who were feel misled about how the field trip was originally presented.
I've had lots of parents reach out to me saying, I had no idea that this was going to be a protest and a rally and a march, and I'm very upset because I would have not let my kid go.
Other parents attended the march to see what exactly the kids were learning and say they were shocked to see students from the field trip marching in the protest, which involved chants about the occupation of Palestine. Ontario's education minister posted on X on Thursday saying, "I am deeply disappointed by yesterday's events. Compromising the security and safety of students is unacceptable. I expect TDSB to conduct a thorough review of the situation and ensure accountability with parents and students to prevent future incidents." As for the TDSB, a spokesperson told CTV News the TDSB was not aware that students would engage with any issues outside of the main focus of the River Run, and we apologize for the harm that some students may have experienced as a result. At this time, we are supporting impacted students and their families. In general, students should not be participating in organized protests as part of a field trip, and this clarification will be shared with the system. The TDSB will also be reviewing its field trip procedures to provide guidance that upholds the safety and well-being of students.
Who's having these discussions that allowed this to transpire, this attendance of the rally? It should not have happened. I don't know what they were thinking, to be honest.
And the TDSB has actually updated their statement to add the following: while we are in the early stages of the investigation, if it is found that TDSB policies, procedures, or professional standards were not followed, we will take appropriate action, which may include discipline and/or changes to our field trip process to ensure accountability. Reporting live, I'm Scott Lightfoot. Nathan, back to you.
All right, thank you, Scott. Schools are put in hold and secure after a teenage girl was stabbed in Scarborough this afternoon. Emergency crews were called to the Corvette and Magnolia Avenue area at around 12:50 p.m. Police say the victim was rushed to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. They're now looking for 3 female suspects, all described as between 17 to 19 years of age.
Could the Ford government soon step in to put the brakes on the number of bike lanes in Toronto?
CTV News has learned restrictions could soon be coming, and it would be controversial. CTV's John Musselman joins us live with the details. John.
Well, Nathan, opponents say that the bike lane just make congestion worse, but cycling enthusiasts say this is all about safety and there should be more bike lanes, not less. The City of Toronto has a 3-year plan to add expanded bikeways across the city, but there could be a political bump in the road. CTV News has confirmed that the Ford government is considering restricting Ontario municipalities from installing new bike lanes that would require the removal of a lane of traffic. Ontario's transportation minister would not confirm if this is under serious consideration.
And we continue, as always, to look at proposals to ease gridlock. How do we make people get to and from work easier and faster so you can spend time with your families? And that's a multitude of options as you commute through the city.
Residents and businesses near High Park on Bloor Street West and along the Kingsway have complained to city officials about losing a lane of traffic. It has led to traffic backups in both directions and limited parking. Councillor Brad Bradford says it isn't working.
I don't need the province to tell me that we shouldn't have a bike lane on Bloor West or we shouldn't have a bike lane on the Kingsway. I mean, that is common sense. We don't need the province to fix that for us. We need to have common sense and leadership at City Hall.
Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow says removing bike lanes is the wrong approach.
I can't imagine what would happen if we yank out some of the bike lanes. It will just make the congestion worse.
And cycling supporters argue this is a safety issue. Removing bike lanes or preventing them from going in is a step backwards, and it puts lives at risk. A woman was killed on Bloor Street West near Yorkville this summer when a bike lane was partially blocked by a construction vehicle.
Just in the last month, we have seen cyclists killed in Niagara, Elora, Guelph, and Belleville, and Toronto. There is a crisis going on our roadways, and so if any attention is going to be paid to infrastructure, it should be about making it safe, not taking away safe infrastructure.
The discussion about bike lanes comes ahead of the introduction of a gridlock reduction bill that's expected to be tabled this fall. And again, this is still in the proposal stage, but we should get more information when the House resumes sitting. Reporting live on Bloor West, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. Emergency crews were called to a two-vehicle crash on the Danforth this afternoon between Broadview and Pape. One car flipped onto its roof, but police say everyone was able to get out. A woman in her 80s was taken to a trauma center with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Both drivers remained on scene, and the roads have since reopened.
And take a look at the scene overnight near Rogers and Caledonia Road. The driver of a red Toyota crashed through some shrubs on a property on McRoberts Avenue around 1 in the morning before hitting the front porch of a house. A man was taken into custody at the scene, and he's facing impaired driving charges.
A civil lawsuit has been filed against Kenneth Law, a Mississauga man accused of selling products online to help people die by suicide.
Law and a local hospital are being sued for $2 million. As CTV John Woodward reports, while Law has been criminally charged, this is the first time any next of kin have taken him to court.
The parents of Yesenia Bedoya Lopez say in a lawsuit the 18-year-old recent high school graduate should never have died. According to materials filed in Newmarket Court sometime in August or September 2022, Yesenia ordered a so-called suicide kit from a company connected to former Mississauga chef Kenneth Law. She died shortly afterwards. The lawsuit says they negligently sold harmful and dangerous chemicals to vulnerable individuals such as Yesenia while they knew or ought to have known that such chemicals would be used to commit suicide. Yesenia, one of 14 deaths in Ontario that has prompted authorities to charge Law with aiding and abetting suicide and first-degree murder. Investigators have previously said they believe Law sent more than 1,200 packages containing poisonous products to as many as 40 countries. Deaths connected to Law's products have been discovered from the U.S. to the UK to New Zealand. A count by CTV News shows at least 129 deaths may be connected to those products.
He's fine. He's in custody. It's not pleasant for him, as it isn't for anyone, but he's dealing with it. He's chosen not to exercise his right to bail at this point, and of course that can always be revisited as the proceedings go on.
Law's criminal lawyer hasn't commented on the civil case. Law has said he plans to plead not guilty and that he's not responsible for the products he sells. The lawsuit, a new approach to trying to hold Law accountable.
So it's easier to bring a claim given the lower standard in the civil realm, balance of probabilities versus proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
It also takes issue with the 18-year-old's treatment at South Lake Hospital north of Toronto, saying she attended the emergency room twice but was never admitted, saying doctors there failed to provide proper, reasonable care to prevent Yesenia's loss of life. The hospital not commenting because of patient privacy. The damages the family is seeking are $2 million. Also Friday, a hearing is scheduled into Law's criminal case. He's expected to go to trial next September. John Woodward, CTV News.
Durham Regional Police are outlining plans to upgrade their air support unit. The police service will be getting a new helicopter to replace its current Air 1 chopper, which has been flying for 25 years. The province says it will fund the purchase to support increased patrols and quicker response times. Durham's police chief says the new helicopter will help inform officers of risks and other information that they can't see from the ground.
The increasing sophistication of organized crime requires that we continuously invest and modernize and grow to address these dangers to our community. And I want to thank the provincial government for supporting us in this effort.
Earlier this year, the province announced it was investing $134 million to purchase 5 new police choppers for the GTA and Ottawa.
There'll be a new progressive conservative MPP headed to Queen's Park after a by-election in Eastern Ontario. Belleville City Councillor Tyler Alsop won the race in the Bay of Quinte. That was yesterday with just under 39% of the vote. The by-election was held to replace longtime PC MPP Todd Smith, who resigned last month to take on a role in the private sector. Another Belleville City Councillor, Sean Kelly, placed second for the Liberals with 33% of the vote. The NDP's Amanda Robertson placed third with 23%. The riding's been held by the PC since it was formed in the 2018 election.
Meanwhile, Michael Ford, Ontario's Minister of Citizenship and Multiculturalism, announced today he's taking a leave of absence. He said in a statement, "This decision was made after much thought, and while it weighs very heavily on me, it is necessary for me to prioritize my health and well-being over the next couple of months." Adding, "I look forward to returning to Queen's Park in the near future." The minister also thanked his uncle, the Premier, and his constituents in York South-Weston for their support as he takes this step.
In the Middle East, health officials in Lebanon say an Israeli airstrike has killed at least 14 people and injured more than 60 others. Israel says the attack killed senior Hezbollah military official Ibrahim Akil, but Hezbollah has yet to confirm that. CTV's Heather Wright has the details.
This is the aftermath of an Israeli airstrike that hit a residential building in Beirut today. The target, Ibrahim Akil, head of Hezbollah's military operations. Lebanon's Ministry of Health says at least a dozen people have been killed, dozens more injured. Israel says 10 of the dead are senior Hezbollah commanders, who Akil was meeting with at the time of the blast.
This war has been brewing for a long time, well over a year, but it is clear now that there is a change in the strategy. This is now an open conflict.
On Tuesday and Wednesday, hundreds of pagers and walkie-talkies were detonated, an attack targeting Hezbollah operatives, which Lebanon's Minister of Health has called a war crime. It was a blow to Hezbollah's communication network, but did not prevent it from launching more rockets into Israel this morning. This latest escalation between Israel and the Iran-backed militant group comes as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to securely return Israeli residents to the north. Dozens of towns have been evacuated for almost a year due to near-daily rocket attacks from Hezbollah. And some believe an Israeli offensive into Lebanon may be in the works.
If their stated aim is to get people back into northern Israel and to allow them to live in some degree of security, then they would definitely need to go in, because I don't see Hezbollah taking the hint, if you will, and stepping away.
The last time Israel and Hezbollah waged all-out war was in 2006, a bloody conflict still fresh in many people's minds. There is no doubt that we are scared, this man says, adding he's often too afraid to go far from his home.
An emergency meeting of the UN Security Council is taking place today to discuss the pager and walkie-talkie explosions, which killed at least 32 people, including 2 children. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
In Washington, the Secret Service released the key findings today from a report into the July 13th assassination attempt against Donald Trump.
The Secret Service did not give clear guidance or direction to our local law enforcement partners. There were communication deficiencies between law enforcement personnel at the site. For example, the Secret Service did not co-locate its security room with local law enforcement. There was an over-reliance on mobile devices, resulting in information being siloed.
The agency also says there was a failure to fix line-of-sight vulnerabilities at the Pennsylvania rally, as well as complacency among some agents. On Sunday, the Secret Service foiled what appeared to be another attempt on Trump's life. A man was arrested after agents noticed a rifle poking through shrubbery while Trump was golfing at his West Palm Beach golf course.
A warning, some of the details in this next report are disturbing. A Canadian woman is among more than 35 alleged victims coming forward who are accusing former Harrods owner Mohammed Al-Fayed of sexual abuse. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
It was a dream. It was a dream come true.
Amy had just graduated from Trent University in 1993 when she was hired at Harrods to sell designer purses. The dream turned into a nightmare after she caught the attention of Mohammed Al-Fayed.
Absolutely, yes.
Amy told reporters that after she was promoted to work in his private office, she was taken on a business trip to Paris. That's when her boss wandered into her room with only a towel on.
And he proceeded to get into this bed and on top of me and assault me with clear intent of raping me without any doubt in my mind. He was very persistent, very, very aggressive. And I had a moment and something came to me and I just said, if my mother only knew. And that stopped him.
Amy is one of 37 women who have come forward so far to British lawyers and claim they have been sexually abused by the Egyptian billionaire. He owned and operated Harrods for 25 years.
He was a monster enabled by a system that pervaded Harrods.
In 2009, Al-Fayed was investigated for allegedly assaulting a 15-year-old, but charges were never laid. The man who rubbed shoulders with royalty died last year, but lawyers say the victims, who were young women hired from across Europe, the U.S., and Canada, can still get some justice.
Al-Fayed was determined to silence these women. They will be silenced no more.
Amy felt isolated and blamed herself for years. Today, she was in a room with more than 24 survivors, no longer alone.
Being together with the other women is empowering.
Al-Fayed sold the department store to Qatari investors in 2010. The new owners say they didn't know about the extent of the abuse until last year. Harrods has apologized to the victims and says that they are willing to settle claims as quickly as possible. Judy Trin, CTV News, London.
Mission accomplished. SpaceX placed another batch of Starlink satellites into orbit today.
4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff.
A Falcon 9 rocket blasted off from the Vandenberg Space Force Base in California shortly before 10 a.m. It was carrying 12 satellites, adding to the more than 7,000 already deployed for Starlink. The system provides internet service to customers around the world.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up, it's Feedback Friday. Viewers had a lot to say about expensive water heater contracts, new surcharges being added to car insurance policies, and a woman who couldn't fly because she had the wrong name on her airline ticket. Feedback Friday is just ahead.
And the fall equinox takes place this Sunday. It's when the Earth's axis isn't tilted towards or away from the sun, and we have almost an exact amount of daylight. Coming up, we'll have a full look at your long-range forecast as we get through the weekend and step in towards next week. And stay with us. We have another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
We had a lot of reaction to our story last night on insurance companies raising rates on vehicles considered at high risk of theft.
And many viewers also say they're frustrated to be caught in expensive long-term contracts involving their water heater. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. Many people told us they feel stuck in rental contracts with their water heater, and many are surprised after renting one for a long time, they still have to make a final payment that's often more than what the water heater is worth. James Alves decided after 8 years of renting his water heater, he wanted to stop paying the monthly charges. He had paid more than $4,000 in rental fees and was shocked he would have to pay an additional $1,000 to buy out the contract.
It's ridiculous. Something needs to be done about this.
Stanley said, I've paid $4,300 renting a water heater for 12 years, and I'm being charged $600 to end my contract. It's not fair. And Alan told us, with new home construction, owners are forced to take expensive water heater rental contracts. Builders get kickbacks. Government should not allow it.
I'm so upset.
Kimberly Faber had to book a last-minute flight to attend a funeral. She accidentally put an S instead of an R on her last name. She thought it could be easily changed at the airport, but she was denied boarding and had to buy another ticket at a cost of more than $900.
I just lost my father-in-law. I'm panicking. I'm not going to make it to the funeral in time.
Meg and LJ told us, I have a hyphenated last name and it's frustrating to book flights as some airlines don't recognize the hyphen. I always worry I could be denied boarding.
I find it unfair. I find it excessive.
Cliff Whiting has a Toyota Highlander, which is now considered a target for thieves. He's been told he must install an anti-theft device, and if he doesn't, he'll have to pay a surcharge of $1,500 a year.
Financially, I guess I'm stuck paying the $1,500 premium.
Buying an older vehicle can help keep your premiums lower, but Tracy told us my insurance increased over 35% for a 2017 CRV, so even older vehicles are getting hit with the surcharge. And another viewer, Russ, wondered, why don't auto manufacturers make anti-theft systems part of the car when you buy it? It could be an option or standard equipment. Then you wouldn't have to get one installed or pay extra for car insurance. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, weather-wise, it's been a great week if you love the warm weather. We've just been spoiled, I think, and it's going to hopefully continue for a few more days.
Honestly, there's at least one really good one on the weekend. My question is about Saturday and the fact that you know, we might have some sun, but then there might be some rain. Not a washout, hopefully.
Not a washout. The system's changed quite a bit watching the different models throughout the day, so it is unsettled as we head into our Saturday, but not a wash by any means. It's as a cold front sweeps its way across. It won't do much in the way of cooling things down right away, but it will bring the chance of some scattered showers to kick off our weekend. But if you have plans outside during the day, whether it's early on or in the evening, you'll be all right. The good news is really it was beautiful to get things going today. And this banner week that we have had really continues right through the weekend, even with a little bit of rain on the way tomorrow. Lots of sunshine out there and warmth as we got through our day. And it doesn't change too much as we head in towards at least the rest of our evening. A few clouds out there, but overall it is stunning. Now, temperature-wise, it is still really warm, especially in northern Ontario. We're warmer in Moosonee than we are here in the city. We're at 27 there. It feels like 30. We're at 23, feeling like 27. It's not cold, but we're still definitely cooling down a little bit as we head in towards the evening. But overall, because of the cloud cover that has moved in, it holds on to some of that warmth. We're dropping down to a low of 19 as we head through the overnight. We should be at 10, so still quite warm out there. And everybody holding on to that heat as we head into this evening, holding on a few degrees above that seasonal norm. Now, getting into the day tomorrow, even with the cold front coming through, it's still quite mild. We'll be at 24, feeling like 29. But we are watching for that line of showers to make its way through. Heavier in areas north of the city, but we will be touched by the rain as we head throughout the day tomorrow. The line of showers has been kind of making its way across all day. We'll see it continue as we head throughout the evening and to start the day tomorrow. It's a very busy systems map. There's a lot going on. The high pressure gets pushed out. We see a line of showers come in tomorrow. It moves out just in time for Sunday, but then there's another line of showers behind it, and we're looking at kind of an active start to next week. But for the rest of this evening, it stays a little cloudy out there until we get to about 9 p.m., and then it starts to clear out. We are watching for the first round of showers late morning as we head into our Saturday. So if you've got morning plans, just bring the umbrella. But it's pretty broken up, so we won't see this kind of be an all-day rain affair. By the time we get to the midpoint of the afternoon, the bulk of this is gone and made its way into eastern Ontario, kind of up towards cottage country. And then as we get in towards the early evening, it really does clear out, and we have a beautiful and fairly mild night ahead of us. Getting into our Sunday, a little cloud cover to start. We'll see sunshine in the afternoon, more cloud rolls in the evening, and this is ahead of the next round of active weather. So temperature-wise into the day tomorrow, it is still super mild out there. We're holding on at 24. It'll feel like 29. Into the evening, still really warm. Fall begins on Sunday with sunshine, and then the rain moves in. So if you like that cooler weather, well, it's not too cool, but cooler than what we've had, I have that for you in spades next week. Michelle.
Thank you, Jess. Also tonight, a rise in lice cases in schools across the GTA, raising concerns. Yet kids who are infested are not being sent home. The petition to change school policy just ahead. The return to the classroom also marks the resurgence of an unwanted and frustrating pest.
It's one that often leaves parents and school officials scratching their heads. We're talking about head lice. And as CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan tells us, it's a growing problem for a couple of reasons.
Dawn Mucci started Lice Squad 25 years ago.
Head lice are prevalent around October, just after kids are starting to get back to school.
But she says the problem is getting worse, first of all, because the sesame seed-sized bugs have mutated and are developing resistance.
Most anti-lice products are pesticide-based, permethrin-based products. These products are not 100% effective anymore. As well, you need to physically remove all of the lice eggs from the hair to be successful at eradicating lice, because nothing that we know of takes care of killing lice eggs.
Arif Khan has 3 daughters and says he's probably had to deal with lice a half dozen times over the years, plus dealing with an itchy episode or two himself as a child. He says removing the stigma of lice is important in dealing with the issue.
We check and make sure our fingernails are clean and our teeth are brushed. We could always check the hair. But I think the most important thing is to relax, cut ourselves a little bit of slack in the sense of if you get it, it's part of life.
The other factor leading to a rise in lice cases, says Mucci, is the abandoning of a school policy that kept kids with lice or even the eggs, called nits, out of the classroom, so lice transmission can happen repeatedly. And even though lice removal is her business, she started a petition this September.
Mucci is hoping her petition will encourage education officials to find some kind of mid-ground when it comes to lice and nits in school.
I believe we should bring something back that's fair and equitable, that doesn't exclude a child, but also gives some up-to-date information, and maybe doesn't allow children with active bugs in the hair to come.
Pauline Chan, CTV News.
As officials prepare to roll out updated COVID-19 vaccines, new figures show the virus circulating at a rapid pace in Ontario. The Ministry of Health shared new data today covering the week of September 8th through to the 14th. During that time, just shy of 18% of COVID tests came back positive, a rate Public Health Ontario considers high. 653 hospital beds were occupied by COVID patients, and 3 deaths were linked to the virus.
One of the city's best-known movie theaters is set to reopen its doors on a limited basis later this month. The Hot Docs Ted Rogers Cinema on Bloor will open for third-party rentals and select partner screenings on September 28th. The theater was closed in the spring as the not-for-profit behind the annual documentary festival said it was facing urgent financial challenges. Hot Dog says it's worked to stabilize its operations as it prepares to choose a new executive director and resume regular programming.
Some new music out today from Canada's own Nelly Furtado. The album has features from Wonder Girl, Tynomi Banks, Domdala, S.G. Lewis, and Charlotte Day Wilson. Furtado took to social media to say the album comes from her heart, as critics say she's trying out a fresh sound for a new generation. Seven is out today on all streaming platforms.
I'm Mike Walker at the Canoe Landing Recreation Center, where some young basketball players had a surprise visit from an NBA All-Star who put them through some drills here on the court. I'll have that story coming up.
I don't even know how I'm going to make that work this weekend. It's going to be very difficult.
You have to work this weekend?
Yeah, I do.
Updating our top stories, getting around the city the next couple of days may be a challenge. The Gardiner will be closed from 11 o'clock tonight until 10 a.m. Sunday. The Lakeshore West GO line will be reduced to hourly trains, and the Barrie line will be closed Saturday and Sunday. There will also be sporadic subway closures.
We want to speed up the construction and have better coordination of all the constructions, shorten the street closure, improve enforcement against people who disregard the rules.
City officials say they have a plan to address traffic congestion. It includes increasing fines for stopping during rush hour and blocking intersections. A new levy for occupying the road, sidewalk, or boulevard for construction is also under consideration.
How do we make people get to and from work easier and faster so you can spend time with your families?
The province is considering restricting municipalities from installing new bike lanes that would require the removal of a car lane. Toronto has a 3-year plan to add or expand bikeways across the city. The mayor says getting rid of bike lanes would make congestion worse.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app.
On the markets, the Canadian dollar traded at 73.73 US, down a fraction. Oil was at 56.58, up $1.34, and the TSX Composite Index ended at a new record closing high at 23,867.55, up just over 1 point.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
The province celebrated a major transit milestone today. Construction is now complete on all stations and stops of the Finch West LRT. The line spans 11 kilometers from Humber College Station to Finch West, where it will connect with the Line 1 subway.
When it opens, this line will bring faster, more reliable transit for commuters in Rexdale, Jane and Finch, Humber River, Black Creek, and across the northwest part of our city. They deserve the same access to quality transit as those in the downtown core. This line will bring 230,000 people within walking distance of world-class public transit.
Metrolink says there's still some work ahead before the Finch LRT can start accepting passengers. Those efforts include testing and commissioning and TTC operator training.
A Raptors superstar was schooling kids on the court today.
It's for a program promoting youth basketball in the city. And our Mike Walker is live at the Canoe Landing Community Recreation Center with all the details. Tell us more, Mike.
Well, Michelle, Nathan, this was all part of the Junior NBA, Junior WNBA youth basketball program. The young players were told a special guest would be joining them, and you can just imagine how surprised they were to see the Toronto Raptors' Scottie Barnes walking out on the court. Take a look at this. For about an hour, the Raptors All-Star hosting this skills training event, putting the young players through several drills from dribbling to passing and footwork. About 30 kids who are part of the junior NBA, WNBA programs from across the city participating in this Chance of a Lifetime event. This was all part of the NBA announcing today Subway as its new titled sponsor for the National Youth Program, a program that is for kids between the ages of 5 to 12 and teaches them the fundamental skills of the game.
It's great. Show support for the kids. I'm here to, support them and just try to, give my knowledge, give my skills that my life stories I've been through and the things that I work on. Try to go out there and show them the way.
Man, it's just amazing to see him. He's an NBA player, so yeah, that's amazing.
Very surprised. I've never really seen an NBA player up front, so it was interesting.
Crazy. I've been watching it forever, It's a one-time thing, It's a very experience, good times.
All the way along, we're also teaching the values of the game. So things like teamwork, communication, team building, feeling that sense of belonging with teammates. I think that's really important for kids to develop a healthy sense of self-confidence.
Barnes says clinics like this are important to help grow the sport and introduce more kids to the game. Last year, this program reached youth in more than 160 communities right across the country. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Nathan, back to you.
All right, thank you, Mike. To the gridiron, the Toronto Argonauts host a longtime rival tonight.
Once again, trying to find the soft spot. Touchdown Argos. They finally get into the end zone. Tavares Daniels.
The Hamilton Tiger Cats will be looking for a season sweep over the Boatmen. A win tonight would move the Tabbies within 4 points of the third-place Argos in the Eastern Division. Toronto ended a two-game slide with a 33-17 win over BC last week.
Guerrero, Horwitz, and Schneider do up here in the seventh. As Guerrero gets one in the air, deep down the left field line, and gone.
On the diamond, the Blue Jays kick off their final road series of the season tonight. Toronto is coming off a 4-0 win over the Texas Rangers yesterday. This evening, they are in Tampa. Jose Barrios will get the start for the Jays. Meanwhile, the baseball world is still buzzing about a historic milestone.
Just ahead, a creative mission for soldiers on a journey of healing and growth. How the Soldiers in the Arts program is helping rehabilitate veterans in our community.
Tonight, zeroing in on guns missing from the Mounties.
Firearm charge, I certainly would launch a criminal investigation.
Explosive details on hundreds of firearms lost since 2020, including fully automatic weapons. That's later on CTV National News.
And a reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight. And a special hello to those of you listening to the newscast live on News Talk 1010.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News.
It's a reality of war. When soldiers are done serving, the trauma persists.
It can be a struggle for veterans to get back to life, but there is a local program aiming to help through the arts. CTV's Beth McDonnell reports.
A lot of casualties, a lot of patients dying.
After years serving in special operations, including Iraq, and suffering from PTSD with a young family, medic Andrew Lloyd had to leave the Canadian Armed Forces.
A lot of anger, a lot of anxiety, extreme reactions to things. So instead of the normal bumps and stressors that you can deal with in a nice curve, it would be massive spikes.
5 years later, Lloyd says he's much better. It's been a journey combining his own drive, support from family, therapy, and taking part in a program called Soldiers in the Arts, attending performances and joining creative writing and improv workshops.
It helped me become more of a fun dad, which I wanted to be. It kind of gave you a safe place to start having a bit of fun and letting that armor go.
It's based in Toronto, but we do work definitely across Ontario.
The Roland Gossage Foundation runs Soldiers in the Arts, along with a tech program and film program which pays. Its founder, also a veteran, stresses most exiting the military are younger, and the struggle readjusting to civilian life can be tough.
If you ask someone what kind of person do you want to hire, they're going to say someone hardworking, dedicated, loyal, meticulous, on time, it describes a veteran in all ways, shapes, and forms. So we want to kind of wake up corporate Canada to saying you need to be military first in your hiring.
I am very proud and happy to kind of get to where I am now. To me, the PTSD I was diagnosed with is in remission.
Lloyd remains active with Soldiers in the Arts, thankful for its positive role in his life. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
Such a great story.
Lovely to hear. We're heading into another weekend, and there is a lot to like, but we might see a little rain.
A little bit of rain as we kind of step into the weekend. It is quite unsettled to start the day off tomorrow, but the good news is temperature-wise, it stays very mild. So even with the bit of rain coming as we head into the morning and early afternoon, it's not so bad temperature-wise, and it moves out just in time for the evening. There's that line of showers. It will intensify as we head through the day tomorrow, but again, the bulk of that rain is falling north of us. Temperature-wise now, still super comfortable. 23, feeling like 27. Windsor's a hot spot, though. So is areas out towards Kingston. It's warm all around. Even with that bit of active weather tomorrow, it still stays above seasonal for the daytime high and the overnight low. Into Sunday, even nicer.
Great to hear. Thank you, Jess. That's it for us, but be sure to join Heather Butts tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Natalie Johnson with your next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.
App.